Good, Candace. All right, good morning, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. this morning. In the true spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge all those who call this land home now and for thousands of years in the past. May we respect each other and find understanding together and recognize the benefits that this land provides to all of us. Before you, you have a proposed agenda. I have two proposed additions. I'd like to make an addition under D4 Administration, D4.3 Special Council Meeting. Administration will address that. We'd like to add a special council meeting. And then under correspondence, E3, another addition, received an email this morning from Mayor Jack Van Ryn, the town of Coaldale, regarding Smile Cookie Week. So if I could add that under correspondence. Is there any other proposed additions, deletions? Go ahead, Morris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We got a great organization in our county, the Prairie Tractor Club. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful setting over down there, and it's definitely pleasant. They're asking for a couple of loads of gravel to be donated by the county.
Where would you like to add that? D2 under operations? D2.2? Oof, nobody should have to hear that. D22? Okay, thank you, Morris. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move the adoption of the agenda as amended.
Thank you, John. John has moved to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there any other discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Moving down, adoption of minutes. Item C, C1. Before you, you have the County Council meeting minutes of April 3rd, 2025. Are there any errors, omissions, any issues arising from the minutes? Mark.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move the adoption of the council meeting minutes of April 3rd, 2025.
Thank you, Mark. Mark has moved for the adoption of the County Council meeting minutes, April 3rd, 2025. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is also carried. We can move down then into our department reports. D1, Development and Infrastructure. D1.1, Bylaw 25-005, the amendment to the Lethbridge County and Town of Nobleford Intermunicipal Development Plan, first reading. Good morning, Hillary.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Council. So this first bylaw that we'll review today for first reading is Bylaw 25-005. This is an amendment to the Lethbridge County and Town of Nobleford Intermunicipal Development Plan. This particular amendment is just to address the recent annexation completed by the Town of Nobleford of 50 acres that they annexed into the Town of Nobleford, being in the southwest 1123 west of the 4th. If you look on your screen, it is that square that County Council agreed to for a subdivision last in 2024. And so that, with regards to annexations, we're always trying to keep our intermunicipal development plans up to date so that they are relevant to the current situation. So this particular amendment just addresses that, that change to the municipal boundaries. That is everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hillary. I would open up to council for any questions, discussion.
Me? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that bylaw 25-005 be read a first time.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin has moved that bylaw 25-005 be read for a first time. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you, Kevin. D1.2, Bylaw 25-011, amendment to the Lethbridge County and Town of Nobleford Intermunicipal Development Plan, Rural Light Use Industrial, first reading. Hillary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This second bylaw application for first reading is 25-011, and it is to also amend the intermunicipal development plan between the Town of Nobleford and Lethbridge County. This amendment is to address an existing land use issue that does not conform to the intermunicipal development plan. In the southwest of 1511-23, west of the 4th, there was a business that was set up, a trucking business operation that was set up in an area that did not allow for commercial or industrial development. In consultation with the applicant, they really desired to remain at this particular location, so the steps moving forward would include amending the intermunicipal development plan to include that area as a potential rural light industrial commercial area. So in discussions with the town of Nobleford and the Intermunicipal Development Committee, which met in March, it was determined that there would be a mapping amendment as shown on the screen for Schedule A. You can see the kind of light reddish area in that southwest quarter. That would be the area for this proposed development to occur. And there was some policy changes also, which I've included in your agenda report for your consideration. The town of Nobleford has agreed to these changes, at least in principle, until they also have their own reciprocal bylaws. So with that, I have requested that first reading of bylaw 25-011 be read for a first time. And if, back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Hillary. I would open up to council for any discussion. Go, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry.
Somebody die or something here?
A little excitement.
Can we play that back?
Crushing it today.
Who knows, this might be the one that gets the most views.
You guys do get new iPads if you win the election.
Well, you gotta get back that.
Yeah.
Where were we? John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to move that bylaw 25-011 be read a first time.
Thank you, John. John has moved the recommendation that bylaw 25-011 be read for a first time. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Thanks, John.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, just one, I forgot to add on that one, just so that you're aware, I did say there is reciprocal bylaws for both of those amendments, as is required under the intermunicipal development plan. The town of Nobleford will be having their first reading next week on both of those bylaws, and I do believe they've slated their public hearings to be after our public hearing on these ones, so just so that you're aware, I will speak to that a little bit further at the time of the public hearing also, though. So, sorry I missed that.
Oh, thank you, Hillary. Oh, go ahead, John.
I apologize for going out of turn on this, but I just, that precipitated a question in my mind. During our public hearing, any of the residents of Nobleford would be able to come and speak to that, would they?
That's
Not-
correct. Yeah, it's open to anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hillary. D 1.3, Development Permit Application 2025-042, City of Lethbridge Waste and Disposal Site.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be presenting this on behalf of Jessica, who is out of the office this week. The application before you is for a development permit application for to remove an existing structure and to put in new structures at the Lethbridge landfill. The reason it comes forward to council is under this direct control, county council is the decision, or the development authority, the deciding authority on all applications that come in for this particular area. For this particular application, they're wanting to add or redo, I would say, their scale house to make it wheelchair accessible, adding 2 kiosks and temporary inbound and outbound scales and office trailers to facilitate the development to make things easier for customers coming in and out of the landfill area. The direct control bylaw is under Bylaw 1389, and I don't know that there's anything, everything, when we looked at the application, it met all the required setbacks. There was no concerns with what they're proposing. It's all within their existing footprint of the landfill area. There is, in your agenda package, all the relevant drawings that show what's going to be happening there, and I've also included the draft development permit for your consideration. In the draft permit, it does have the conditions that we would recommend to you to approve, being that the ancillary buildings and uses be located as per their approved plan, that all debris shall be removed and taken to an approved disposal site, which ironically would be the landfill. Any lighting associated with this development shall be shielded and downcast as to not generate a nuisance. That's typical on our industrial and commercial developments, just to make sure that we're not creating like lighting that's going to impact other land uses or roadways. That the development shall adhere to the recommendations of their geotechnical evaluation completed in April of 2023. The parcel shall be graded as per the submitted plans as approved by Lethbridge County. The parcel shall be landscaped as per the submitted plan and as approved by Lethbridge County. Any signage would require a new development permit. We don't anticipate there will be any new signage with this. They've already done their signage at the landfill. And any other uses that, other than that approved by this development permit, shall require a new permit. Then their typical conditions would include that they get their relevant safety codes, so they're building, plumbing, electrical, gas, and that any work done within the right-of-way in front of the landfill lands if there was any work to be done, that would require separate approval from our operations department. So those are the conditions that we have drafted for your consideration with regards to this particular development permit. I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Hillary. I'll open up to council for any questions they might have. Mark? Is that okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd move that the development permit application 2025-042 be approved as drafted.
Thank you, Mark. Mark's moved that development permit application 2025-042 be approved as drafted. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thanks, Mark. D1.4, the 2024 Hamlet of Iron Springs and Turin Growth Study Reviews.
Hannah will be coming forward to present these two reviews, as she's the person who did the reviews. I will just put this over here.
Good morning, Council. If you'll remember, in December of 2024, I talked to you about the 2024 Hamlet of Monarch review. We're going to do the same format, where I'm going to take you through the maps that I created for this project and talk to you about the different development that has happened in these two hamlets. And it starts on page 83. Yeah, sorry, there is a lot of stuff to go through. Yes, perfect. All right, so to begin, we'll start with the most unique thing about Iron Springs, which is the fact that they had two confined feed operation expansions near their borders. This is quite unique from Monarch and Turin, and we had one within 1 mile of the hamlet, which was an expansion for 2,000 cattle. The other one was for 800 cattle as well. And In the previous resident engagement survey we did, residents had very mixed opinions about confined feeder operations because there is quite a big concentration in the area. So this may create differing opinions within the hamlet. And considering the high concentration, 2 expansions in 5 years is not bad. So I think we can move down to development. Oh, thank you.
I can do that for you, Hannah.
Perfect. Lots of support. Next, we will look at development within Iron Springs. So it was quite small. We did not have any new residences added to Iron Springs. We had 3 commercial industrial applications for the automotive sector. We had 1 addition to a house, but not a new residence. And we had 1 application for a sign for a total of 5 permits. We also did not experience any population growth. We actually had a 13% decline in population. And that is pretty par for the course for these small communities. Turin also did not get any growth, but we also did not see any deterioration in the residential character of Iron Springs, which is mainly 70s to 80s housing. So that is considered a plus. Next, if we move down to the 3rd map, this is our vacant lots. We did not see much of a change in terms of occupancy for vacant lots. We did not have any subdivisions, but we did have a few consolidations. You'll notice in the far east of the hamlet, we had a consolidation of over 8 vacant lots into 1 occupied lot, greatly reducing our ability for infill. But we also, what else? We also did not experience any infill for the existing vacant lots. So we only have 2 remaining lots that could potentially be filled. Okay, and then we could go down to map 4. Oh. So this is the water line for Iron Springs. It is serviced through the county's water line. No major upgrades have been required so far, and a lack of development means that we can expect the current water supply to meet the demand for the foreseeable future. And we do not have a sanitary system running through Iron Springs, so this is it. Partially it's because of the population. We will not require one since there is negligible growth. And that is all we have for servicing. So just to conclude, there's not been much activity in Iron Springs. The most notable events are the Huntsville School and County Playgrounds getting upgrades. And we also did some reconstruction of Center Street and parts of First in 2023. It's still mainly a bedroom community, and this pretty much conforms with the expectations of residents. They enjoy their larger lot sizes and the quiet atmosphere. So I think Iron Springs now is pretty on par for residents' expectations. Therefore, the policies in the previous growth study, while we haven't had to employ them quite yet, are still an option for long-term growth, just not in the foreseeable future. And that concludes the Iron Springs portion. Are there any questions before we move on to Turin? Perfect. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you don't see any in the future for maybe residential growth, or? There is no room for industrial growth out there, I thought.
Yeah, there is a little bit of room. We also have the county land, which hypothetically could maybe become residential, but there's no real push for it so far. With the huge consolidation, we're quite limited, but if you know 2 friends who need houses, you know where to go.
Hey, Morris, you can retire there.
Go ahead, Lauren.
I'll tell that Jackie.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So the big consolidation, it's considered only 1 lot now, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I can speak to that.
Oh.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. So that consolidation was done, it was just completed this last year. There used to be a laneway and roadways through that parcel. If County Council may recall that there was a road closure due to some encroachments in there. And so as a result of that road and laneway closure, they did consolidate all those titles together, creating about a 3-acre parcel. in the hamlet. With the restrictions on the sewer system, it was highly unlikely that those parcels would be developed for residential anyhow, just because they would have to have some type of on-site septic system, which obviously on a smaller title is a bit challenging. So that's probably mostly why we haven't seen any growth in this area. In the original growth study that we did back in 2019, there is an opportunity for growth going south if that landowner ever wishes to, but it's not as likely as in some other of our hamlets to have that growth, just because putting in, then we would have to consider, the county would have to consider looking at a sewer system, which obviously would require that we have some guaranteed growth in the hamlet. So just to kind of frame that up as to that parcel, and then kind of the larger picture for growth in the hamlet.
Go ahead, Lauren.
But just to follow up then, could you build more than one house on that lot or not?
No, it's still zoned under the Hamlet Residential District, which would only allow for one residence. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Carry on.
Perfect. So we'll move down to Turin, which is page 167. Sorry, lots of Hamlet growth to talk about. Perfect. All right. So this first map is about development within Turin. There was a little bit more than Iron Springs, which is good. We had 3 residential permits ranging from a site-built home, a moved-in residence, and 1 manufactured home. This fits in quite well with Turin because it does have a diversity in housing types. We had 3 accessory use permits, and we had 1 commercial permit tied to the Country Corner store. We did experience one concerning hitch, though. The Statistics Canada reports show that Turin's population declined from 119 to 72, which is about a 40% decline. I have a working hypothesis that Statistics Canada either underreported or they did some data repression. So we don't have a great idea of the actual population change, but I think it's pretty consistent with what it was in 2019. And then communities as small as this tend to have this happen. It does create a challenge in addressing servicing and knowing where the population is, but because so far the hamlets haven't changed that much, I'm not anticipating it would be a concern. Then going down to map 2. So this is the areas that show vacant lots and subdivisions. We had 1 big subdivision up north. This was the former CPR lands that the county acquired. We have been able to subdivide them and sell off 4 of the lots. 1 is used for a water station, and 3 have yet to be sold. And other than that, there have been no subdivisions within the hamlet. And all of those vacant lots have remained unchanged since the last growth study. And then going down to map 3. This shows the changeover in vacant lots. Again, we have not had much change. The lots that we have been able to sell in the north have remained underdeveloped. So we aren't showing much change within the community. And then map 4. This is the water line for Turin. It does not require any major changes as well. It is able to service the community as it is now, and there is no change in population demand, so we are not expecting to have any major upgrades in the foreseeable future. And the only change to servicing would be if we needed to expand the water line to include those 3 lots at the very east of the hamlet, because they are not serviced as of now. And then going down to map 5, we do have wastewater servicing here. It's supported by a lagoon system, same as Monarch, and it also keeps up with demand, so we are not expecting any major upgrades with that either. And then just in conclusion, Turin has been very quiet, but there are still things to look forward to. We have a new playground project, hopefully happening in the future with the Turin Community Curling Club. And our vacant industrial lands still open up the door for a possible agribusiness industry. So for Turin, we don't have much to say, but the residential strategies that have been listed in the previous growth study are still applicable. We just don't require them quite yet. And that means the Hamlet growth studies can remain a viable resource in the future. Thank you for listening to my presentation. That is all.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Is there any questions? Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Would it be a safe statement to suggest that in both of those hamlets that the residents are overall pretty happy with the way things are, and you know, there isn't any major concerns about the lack of growth or the shrinkage of it?
I would say when I looked at the engagement strategies or surveys that we did with the last strategy, they were quite happy with how quiet the hamlets are, and there was a particular love of the large lots and very quiet atmosphere. So I don't think this is necessarily negative that our hamlets aren't growing.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much, Hannah.
Thank you.
We have a couple of motions, please. We will do them separately. Yeah, approve the first, the Hamlet of Iron Springs one, and then the Turin one. Go ahead, Lauren.
I would move the approval of the Hamlet growth study for the Hamlet of Iron Springs.
Thank you, Lauren. Lauren has moved to approve the 2024 Hamlet of Iron Springs Growth Study Review as an appendix to the original Hamlet of Iron Springs Growth Study. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd move the approval of the 2024 Hamlet of Turin Growth Study Review as an appendix to the original Hamlet of Turin Growth Study.
Thank you, Mark. Mark has moved to approve the 2024 Hamlet of Turin Growth Study Review as an appendix to the original Hamlet of Turin Growth Study. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
Hannah for all her hard work on these reviews. It's a little bit tedious going through all that data, but she's done an excellent job of going through them, and she'll continue to do that as an intern here at the county to help us to progress our growth strategies to ensure that they are up to date and meeting our expectations. So thanks, Hannah.
Thank you very much, Hillary. Hannah, may I put you on the spot for a second? What has your experience been as an intern at the county so far? Are you enjoying yourself?
It is amazing. I feel like I've learned so much through Hillary and everyone who I've kind of interacted with. I really appreciate the opportunity to come work here.
That's terrific. I know you're getting rave reviews, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Move down, D21, Agricultural Service Board level of service. Good morning, Mr. Sechrist. How are you today?
All right, the agricultural level of service, this came through the ASB meeting on March 27th, so if you want, I'll just go through some of the highlights from that meeting and what we're going to do. And so the level of service, it mirrors our grant application for the ASB grant, and this is a public document, so it'll be on the website for citizens to view, and they will know exactly the level of service that we're going to provide. And we are required to report back to council once a year through the ASB grant program, so that's why I'm here today. The services that we provide were considered during the budget process, so that is the best place to decide our level of service. As well, the appendix at the end, it's required by the ASB grant program. They need the details, so that's why we have those old policies at the end there as well. There is not a lot of difference in the level of service for this year, just some budget increases, and that could be due to inflation as well. We've got some expanded services in parks and hamlets, so mainly Railside subdivision. We've taken on a bunch of additional land there, as well as Frontier, the new subdivision off 43rd Street, and then the link pathway. So there's a little bit on the link pathway. Of course, as more of that path is constructed, we're going to have an expanded level of service there as well. We're also hoping this year that you notice a little bit of level of service increase in industrial parks.
The level we were at, we were just short, so we've added an additional summer student to clean things up there. They'll also help out in parks, cemeteries, and hamlets as well. Pest activities, that includes, surveys for grasshoppers, bacterial ring rot, club root, blackleg, things like that. We did all those surveys last year, and those projections can be seen on the Government of Alberta website. And it, as well, all the work we do with the Pest Act, Weed Control Act, and Soil Conservation Act, they've added a portion to the grant where they want to see social media posts regarding those. So you'll see a better flow of social media coming through our communications department for that. They have a plan for the whole year. So the very end of the document, that's our mowing and spraying maps for the year. Last year we mowed 90% of everything twice, just about, pretty close to everything. And we're not seeing a lot of grass regrowth last year. Very heavy the first cut, second cut, nothing but just a few weeds that come through, so it dried off. Spraying, we try to cover a third of the county with a blanket spray, and that's difficult because of all the specialty crops out there we're shutting off. Even though we intend to do it, you're shutting off a lot. Otherwise, the rest of the spray is mostly spot spraying, thistle patches and kochia, things like that. We also do plenty of road top spraying to assist greater operations, and that's very helpful. Most of that activity happens west of Barons and also in the Sundial area where the graders don't need to grade as much. We did anticipate more spraying on provincial highways. They give us about $58,000 last year. That was nearly double our budget. We got the budget document, what they're budgeting this year. It is only a couple thousand more than last year. We did consult with them, and they said that if you need more in season, same as last year, we hope that will increase because we sure caught up last year with weeds on provincial highways. Another change you'll see is no spray signs. We have a lot of no spray zones as well. We've made the signs metal and permanent so that folks don't have to come in and get a new sign every year. They just do the application online every year, and then they can put up their permanent signs. That saves time for producers and staff. Plastic baler roller, that was very busy in the last couple months. There's a lot of farmers moving the grain out of those plastic bales, and they're getting rolled up. And the bullion drill, we're getting 2-3 calls a day on that right now, so it's very busy moving that around. One area to keep an eye on is brushing and tree removal. We're seeing more activity in that. It's just the heavy winds are knocking trees down, and we've got to react to go remove them off the roads and in the ditch as well. And there's constant brush that can be moved. So we may need future support in that area going forward. And as mentioned just previously here, there is a significant park upgrade in Turin, and that is in cooperation with the community group. We've been working with them over the last month pretty heavily, and we're getting that project nailed down. It'll be a $275,000 project, $150 from the county, and $125 for a grant they received. So that'll include a new play structure, court, and all the amenities. It's they're pretty excited, and the community's done a lot of work out there, and they've been really good to work with. So that's the highlights of our level of service. I'm prepared to take any questions.
Thank you, Gary. Open up to council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Gary, just a question about the link pathway. You cut the grass and pick up the garbage. Is there anything else in the service line you provide there? And is it open in the wintertime, and do you have to do anything there? Thank you.
Yeah, good question. We've been in consultation with the group, the chair, so they intend it to be a 4 seasons path, and that kind of scared me because we didn't want to do snow removal because that can really kick up the cost. But their intention is 4 seasons. You can go cross-country skiing or use it for snow. There will be no snow removal on the county portion. The Coaldale portion, they've been doing snow removal, and it gets a little more use. It's not too far in the county yet, so we've mowed it once. We rock picked it here this spring just so we can run a little better mower down it. It won't take too much this year, but as it grows, it's going to be one of our bigger projects, and you'll see big increases in service levels there. They're very reasonable on what they expect, and I'll be meeting with their chair and one of their board members just so we're on the same page of what we can provide.
Any other questions? ahead, Morris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure if the county has anything to do with it, Gary, but I thought they did. A graveyard straight west of my place, you know, and basically on top of the hill west.
Yes, we do maintain.
And the reason I brought it up, I was told here just last week, the county is not gonna be doing anything with that anymore. Is that right?
No, we fully intend to maintain it. We don't own the graveyards, just because nobody keeps care of them. There's 4 of ones that we do take care of and maintain. So, no, we fully intend to keep going with that.
Any other questions for Gary? Go ahead, John.
Not a question, but more of a statement and a note of appreciation for all the effort that you put into preparing this level of service and making sure that we as the county are conscientious about taking care of our ratepayers and the roadsides and playgrounds. And on that note, I'd like to move that County Council approve the 2025 ASB level of service.
Thank you, John. John has moved that the County Council approve the 2025 ASB level of service. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
Thank you.
Gary, are you doing the Stampede one as well, or?
Candace is planning to, but I can if you want.
Well, I just thought if you were here, but if you're good.
Let's cover it now if you want.
Yeah, sure. Why don't we slide down then to, where is that at?
You're taking Candace's thunder. Yeah, you got more, there's more to count.
D41 Administration, the 2025 Calgary Stampede BMO Farm Family Awards. Gary?
All right, this is a request that comes through every year. The BMO Farm Family is presented on the first Monday of Stampede, and this year it's July 7th. And there's a bunch of festivities planned with that attachment as well. The invitation comes through to support our farm family, and that's where there is a request for one member of council and their guests to attend. Historically, it's the councillor of the division in which the nominee resides. So in this case, our nominee is K-Belt Farms, the Bruce Canina-Belt Farm family. They are in Electoral Division 5, out by Nobleford, and they were very appreciative of the call for this award. So it would be nice if one member of council could attend. And like we say, we recommend that's the Division 5 councillor if possible.
Thank you, Gary. I'd open up to council. Go ahead, Claus.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. How many generations has this K-Belt been around already?
When I talked to Bruce, I think it was three active on the farm. So there could have been one more generation prior to that, I believe.
Thank you. I would like to move that County Council, would be best word to use for this, select the councillor from Division 5, which would be Kevin, to represent Lethbridge County at the 2025 BMR Farm Family Awards scheduled for July 7th, 2025.
Is that agreeable? Awesome. Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thanks, Gary. We can go back up. Our addition D 2.2, Prairie Trotter Club donation. Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I've been requested for the last week. A couple of times I've been called by one of the board members from the Prairie Tractor Club, see if we could donate a couple loads of gravel from the great facility we have in our county. And without any more discussion before our CEO gets into it, I like to move that we do so.
Okay. Morris has made a motion that, what would you like your motion to be, Morris?
Yep.
Two loads?
2 loads, yeah.
2 loads. Okay, Morris moved that County Council donate 2 loads of gravel to the Prairie Tractor Club. Does that capture what you're saying, Morris? Okay. Does despite what you might want, Morris, I am going to open it up for discussion. Go ahead, Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to note a couple things. If we want to donate gravel, the county council's donation policy does explicitly state that we do not donate gravel, so we would need, obviously, a resolution to do that, or to either amend the policy or to make an exception to that policy for this. We do give them $10,000 a year, similar to our, community associations, to try and compensate for that. And I think our challenge is, not that we're opposed, especially on specific requests, it's who do we donate to? We do get a lot of these. Who do we donate to? Who don't we? How do we project that? We spend about $1 million every 3 years crushing gravel, and then more staging gravel for our needs. How much of that, over time do we set aside? So I think the conversation today is specific to this one. We'll absolutely do whatever county council wants us to do, but I think there's maybe a more robust conversation around what does that look like, who qualifies for gravel, do the community associations, because they often request gravel, how much gravel do we set aside for donations, and some of those other conversations that probably would come out of this, unfortunately, Councillor Zeenstra. So that's all I would add.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would open it up. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I hear what Cole's saying. I think typically in the past you would get an official letter. Like, it would have been nice to have a letter sent to have been put on the agenda so we were aware of it instead of bringing it right to the council. So I think that's a procedure we followed in the past to just make it fair for all the other ratepayers. And also I think too, if in our policy, I understand that over the years we've had several requests for that. So if we open the door for that, then there's going to be a whole lot of other folks. So they're a great organization. I appreciate that. But the fact, again, as Cole pointed out, they're getting $10,000 already. So I think that we're though I appreciate the request, I think I wouldn't support this at this time.
Thank you, Mark. Any other comments or discussion? Okay, Morris has made a motion that County Council donate 2 loads of gravel to the Prairie Tractor Club. Discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That is defeated. Is there anything else you want to add on this, Morris?
No, I see the way it went. I'll ask them to have an official request in writing to the county council.
Okay. Thank you, Morris. Moving down, D3, Corporate Services. D3-1, the 2025 Stirling Wind Benefit Project Funding Allocations. Morning, Haley.
Good morning, Council. In this submission, it's the 2025 Stirling Wind Benefit Project funding allocations. So back in 2023, the county was contacted by Potential Renewables regarding community funding through the Stirling Wind Project. And so the program was developed as part of their community relations commitment to provide contributions back to the community through their wind turbine program. So the Lethbridge County has 14 turbines and has received approximately $15,000 for the total 2025 contribution, 40% of which is funded through this open application process for the community benefit fund, and then the remainder 60% is for the scholarship program. So in this instance, we received over $34,000 of funding requests through the program, and in the background information, it provides the recommended funding allocation based on the available funds of $6,086.80.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Haley. And open up to council. Go ahead, Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just out of curiosity, I see 3 I have no problem with, but the ones that aren't actually located in the county, is there a reason behind why they would get funding?
So based on the program, there has been approval of non-county community groups in the past, and so it's really based on the criteria and review of the applications to see if they fit. And then we submit all of them to Potentia Renewables for their review, and these are the recommendations that have come back. So this one isn't specifically required to be within the county. The scholarship program is a requirement that they're specifically for a resident of the county.
Good, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So if I'm understanding this process, people put in an application to us as the county, we shortlist it and then send it to Potentia, and Potentia do they have the final say, or do they have final recommendations on where they would like to see these funds go?
Councillor Kerbers, they provide recommendations. Council ultimately has the final say in how the funding is allocated.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Candace.
We don't shortlist them. I sent them all the applications we received, and they shortlisted them, and then we discussed them, and this is what.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I would just add to the agreement we have with Potentia is fairly robust, so if council has the final say, if we want to make changes, we need to go back and refer to that agreement as to what those parameters are. I know that one of the focuses is not necessarily on location being in the county, but there was a heavy focus from them on providing services to county residents in addition to. So those that didn't meet that requirement was one of the criteria that they eliminated based upon.
Anything further? I would entertain a motion. Mark?
It's a long one, nobody wanted to read it. I'd move that the county council approve the Stirling Wind Project Community Benefit Fund open allocation portion in the amount of $6,086.80 to the following recipients as follows: Fresh Start Recovery Center, $1,217.36. Friends of St. Joseph School, $1,217.36. Interfaith Food Bank Society of Lethbridge, $1,217.36. Connect Club of Coaldale, $1,217.36. Lethbridge Therapeutic Rite Aid Association, $1,217.36.
Thank you, Mark. Mark has moved the recommendation the council approve the Stirling Wind Project Community Benefit Fund open allocation portion in the amount of $6,086.86 to the following recipients as listed. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. D 3.2, Bylaw 25-13, the 2025 Business Tax Bylaw.
Sorry, I just lost the agenda here. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so council, this is for the 2025 business tax bylaw. Per the MGA, business tax bylaw must be passed annually before May 1st of each year, in which the bylaw is to be implemented. And so this is the bylaw in recommended first, second, and third reading for City Council to review and consider, and that they would approve that, including the provisions and projections for the business tax revenue and just for council's consideration.
Thank you, Haley. I would open up to council. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that bylaw 25-013, being the 2025 business tax bylaw, be read a first time.
Thank you, John. John has moved that bylaw 25-013, being the 2025 business tax bylaw, be read for a first time. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Claus?
I'll move that bylaw 20-014B, being the 2025 business tax rate bylaw, be read a second time.
Claus has moved that bylaw 25-013, being the 2025 business tax. We're going to do the first one first. Then we do the rate next.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, the 2025, or 25, sorry, that bylaw 2513 being the 2025 business tax bylaw, be read a second time. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? And consideration of third reading. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move the bylaw 25-013, being the 2025 business tax bylaw, be considered for third reading.
Thank you, John. John has moved that bylaw 25-013, being the 2025 business tax bylaw, be considered for third reading. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. And then third reading. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
I always lose it though, so I might as well do it then. That, I would move that bylaw 25-013, being the 2025 business tax bylaw, be read for a third time.
Thank you, Lauren. Lauren has moved that bylaw 25-013, being the 2025 business tax bylaw, be read for a third time. Discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you, Haley. Moving down then to the 2024, or sorry, the bylaw 25-014, the 2025 business tax rate bylaw. Haley, Les?
Thank you, Council. This is to, for Council to consider for first, second, and third reading of the business tax rate bylaw. That must be passed annually. It is an increase of approximately 2% over the 2024 business tax rate. And so this, during budget deliberations, Council had discussions regarding the current business tax for animal units. And so this is to implement those proposed changes based on the budget. So that would increase the animal unit rate from $2.55 to $2.60.
Thank you very much, Haley. Open up to council. Go ahead, Claus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question. Have we had any comments or had from the producers of the increased last year? Or haven't we heard anything from them?
No, there was
Well, that
no
sounds good.
feedback from
Okay,
the
okay,
5%
with,
increase last year.
okay, thank you. So then I would like to recommend that move the bylaw 25-014 now, being read, being the 2025 business tax rate bylaw, be read for the first time.
Thank you, Claus. Claus has moved that bylaw 25-014, being the 2025 business tax rate bylaw, be read for a first time. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I recommend that bylaw 25-014, being the 2025 business tax rate bylaw, be read a second time.
Kevin has moved that bylaw 25-014, being the 2025 business tax rate bylaw, be read for a second time. Discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And to go to third, go ahead, Mark.
I'd move that bylaw 25-014, being the 2025 business tax rate bylaw, be considered for the third reading.
Thank you, Mark. Mark has moved that bylaw 25-014, being the 2025 business tax rate bylaw, be considered for third reading. Discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. And then moving down, go ahead, Lauren.
Thank you. I would move that bylaw 25-014, being the 2025 business tax rate bylaw, be read for a third time.
Thank you, Lauren. Lauren has moved that bylaw 25-014, being the 2025 business tax rate bylaw, be read for a third time. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much, Haley. Thank you very much, Les. With that, we're almost at 10 o'clock. Why don't we take a short, let's say a 10-minute break, and we Ready whenever you are, Candace. Okay, we'll call a meeting back to order at 10:07 a.m. this morning, and we've moved down in our agendas to item D42, bylaw number 25-015, the council procedural bylaw. Candace.
Good morning, council. I am here to talk about some proposed revisions to the council procedural bylaw. These revisions aim to align the bylaw with recent amendments to the MGA, particularly concerning the conduct and requirements of planning and development public hearings. These changes are necessary to ensure legislative compliance and enhance procedural clarity. In addition to the MGA-related updates, there are a few general amendments that have been made. The background for this is to provide greater public participation in public hearings. The MGA and Bill 20 require municipalities to offer electronic options for public hearings on planning and development matters. This may include using a telephone or online options. Electronic options for public hearings will ensure more residents are aware and informed of and may participate in local planning and development matters. Municipalities must by bylaw provide for electronic means for public hearings to be established by April 30th, 2025. Just a couple things I'll bring to your attention in the bylaw. I've added a couple of just definitions that were missing. I've changed a couple of the time requirements that were in here just for submitting documents for the agenda. Our time that our our meeting started still said 9:30, so I've amended that. The sections that are the main sections that have been added are remote attendance at council meetings. If we can just talk about 7.1. Currently, it says that members of council can attend regular council meetings or special council meetings 3 times a year by electronic communication, or approved otherwise by the Reeve if it's an emergency situation. I don't know if we want to leave that in there. That is not a requirement. That it is a minimum of 3 times or a maximum of 3 times. We can change the number. We can leave it as is. Totally up to council's discretion on that point. The other parts that have been added is a section on public hearings specifically. This section will address the MGA requirements. Number 14 and 15 are very specific to the requirements that the MGA has requested us. The rest of it just kind of goes through our public hearing process. And I will throw it back to you for any questions. So we are looking for all 3 readings today, sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So 2 questions come to mind, and I heard this in a council in Northern Alberta, where a member is attending up to 3 meetings a day, or 3 to 4 meetings a day by AI. And how do we have anything in there that would cover off that? Like you're attending 2 meetings at the same time, one in person and one by AI. Like how does that? Is there any provision for anything to cover off a mess like that?
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. No, because you're not actually attending. So I think the argument I would have is that you are expected to attend those meetings, not some augmented version of yourself or something else that is not being present or counted as being present for those meetings. So I'm not familiar with how you would do. I mean, I guess I am familiar with how you would do that. I'm not familiar with why you would do that. So I would say I wouldn't necessarily recommend that we have a provision for that. I think that's more of a council accountability, that you are not present unless you yourself are actually present, either as per the terms virtually outlined in this policy or physically.
John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering if maybe there's a confusion in the verbiage on that. Do you mean like virtually or AI?
So they're attending meetings AI and virtually at the same time, in one case.
But 2 separate meetings?
But claiming for 2 meetings. That's their problem to deal with. But the problem, I guess, that I see arising is you're actually not attending the one meeting. So
Yeah.
you're really technically not there, in my opinion. I just wondered if that was somehow covered. But
Agreed. I can't answer that here, but I would agree with you that you're not actually there as outlined or would be outlined in the MGA.
Councillor Hickey, to answer your specific question, that is not covered in this specific bylaw.
Okay.
Did you have something else, Lauren? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And I just wondered underneath 3.1, number 3, and that's an administrative inquiry. What would you consider to be an administrative inquiry? Like is that something procedurally that management does, or I'm not sure what that means exactly.
Sorry. It's an inquiry made in writing to CAO by a member of council concerning operations or actions of the county. So I guess if there's an issue that has come up specifically about one of the operations or an action specific to a staff member, that it's an inquiry made to the CAO in writing to deal with a situation like that.
Was it 3.3?
It's the number 3 in the definitions.
3.1.3.
Administrative inquiry. Is that new, Candace? That's new because
That
it's in
is
red,
a
yeah?
definition that they've suggested that we include.
So that's from Municipal Affairs, they've suggested that, okay. Cole, you have any thoughts on that?
I'd have to go back through it. I think some of these are just the terms, like we've updated kind of what they outlined. We can make some amendments. Candace and I reviewed it this week. We didn't realize that we had to get this through now. There are some things in here that are a challenge that we have to bookend. So even that is if there's, I'm not as concerned about a definition on the administrative requirement, but I think it was it 7.1, Candace?
Yeah.
There was another one as an example, and I'll just use this as an example. I think it was 7.1, where we had to include, and this was based off of other, what Candace was able to find elsewhere, where a member of council may attend regular or special council meetings by means of electronic communication a maximum of 3 times per calendar year. We struggled with that too, because it was, the reason that it's been included elsewhere is because if we had somebody new come on council and they thought, oh, I'm just going to attend every single council meeting virtually and I'm never going to come, versus an actual reason that you're just not physically available or you're traveling for work or something else and that's your way of being present at that meeting. So it's like, do you put 3? Because there might be some years where it's more than 3, and that would be perfectly okay because there would be those exceptional circumstances. And how do we book in that? And so all I would say is we recognize that this procedural bylaw is not perfect, and we are open to any amendments, but we're going to have to pass something today, even if it's as amended, and then we're happy to go back and refine some of those points, because I don't know the appropriate answer for some of those too, what the right way to outline that is.
And it is just a suggested definition. If we want to remove it, that's
Yeah,
totally council's
we can amend
discretion.
whatever
We
right
can
now,
absolutely
yeah.
do that.
Okay. Lauren, do you have anything else? Is there anything else from council? Go ahead.
I think overall the changes are reasonable, and if they meet our needs for the MGA, then I see no concerns with it. And also appreciating that it is a bit of a living document, so if we run into a situation in the future where there is a necessity to change something because of the changing environment, then we have the ability to do that. So I would like to move that bylaw 25-015, being the council procedure bylaw, be read a first time.
Thank you, John. John has moved that bylaw 25-015, being the council procedural bylaw, be read for a first time. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Second. Good, John.
I'd like to move that bylaw 25-015, being the council procedure bylaw, be read a second time.
John has moved that bylaw 25-015, being the council procedural bylaw, be read for a second time. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And to proceed to third reading, Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that bylaw number 250-15, being the council procedural bylaw, be considered for a third reading.
That bylaw, Kevin has moved the bylaw number, that should be 25, yeah, 25-015, being the council procedural bylaw, be considered for third reading. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That is carried. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that bylaw number 25-015, being the council procedure bylaw, be read a third time.
Thank you, Mark. Mark has moved that bylaw 25-015, being the council procedural bylaw, be read for a third time. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you, everyone. Our addition, D4.3, addition of a special council meeting. Candace?
Yes, our administration would like to call a special council meeting for next Thursday, April 24th. The topic will be the audited financial statements. At 9 a.m.
Okay. Do we have a majority of council that would be able to attend a special council meeting next Thursday at 9 a.m.? Mark? Okay. Everyone else?
Just check. I gotta get my hair done. At 8 a.m. and then I go 5.
I think I got my calendars changed.
So that's only the one.
It'll be one item for the audited financials, yeah. You good, Lauren? Yeah.
November morse.
Candace, you want a motion for that then?
Please.
Okay,
At a special council meeting to set for Thursday, April 24th at 9 a.m. for review of the audited financial statements.
perfect. Lauren?
I would make that motion.
Thank you, Lauren. Any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That is carried. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Lauren.
I was just gonna say what she said.
Moving down, correspondence, Provincial Priorities Act, Municipal Sector Fact Sheet. So you have there was a letter and a fact sheet sent out by the government around the provincial priorities regulation. Some definitions, requirements, intake process, review process for your recreational reading purposes. Our second item, I can speak to this. So at the last Mayors and Reeves meeting, the Reeve of County of Newell, Arno Dirksen, brought this forward in partnership with the MP of Bow River, Martin Shields. Martin sat on MLA Hunter's task force on invasive species, and one of the things that came out of that invasive species task force is that while there are some steps can be taken, unfortunately they might not be the most timely. So there is a desire amongst some municipalities, members of the legislature and members of the House of Commons, that we try and move this along a little more quickly. One of those ways is through the building of a dip tank. And how these dip tanks work, they're large, the size of a boat. It would have heaters, hot water. You would literally back the entire boat trailer into this dip tank. It would be contained within the dip tank. Hot water would circulate around it, go through the motor, through everything, for a period of time, thereby sanitizing the boat. This is just one of the steps that they feel is within reach. There is money set aside from the government to try and have one of these designed, built, but for rollout in 26, 27. So the idea would be to fast track that and get multiple units out by 2026 at the earliest. There was some discussion, and there seems to be interest from some of the irrigation districts. I think they all understand the risks that is being presented by quagga and zebra mussels. So they are at the table in these discussions, how they can participate. There's also some partnership from industry, potentially. So what I have here is that letter that that Reeve Dirksen has drafted for our consideration. Arno has asked that we consider attaching our name to this, signing this, and then it would go back to Mayors and Reeves, where Mayors and Reeves would collate hopefully all of the letters from the southwest, or from the south, sorry, and then send them off to the Premier Minister of Environment, Minister of Ag, and Minister of Transportation. So I was asked to bring that forward for your consideration, and I can try and answer some questions, but that's kind of the Cole's Notes version of that. Go ahead, Mark.
Having been at some of the meetings that they've discussed this, it's a serious issue, you know, to some government folks it may not, but I think it's something we need to act on fast and get ahead of this, because the areas that they haven't and it's affected it, it's pretty serious. And for the irrigation, for us, it's really critical, because it'll, you know, plug up the system, you know, intakes, everything else. I mean, it's a big deal, so I think it's important that the more we can do to help accelerate this, the better.
Thank you, Mark. Any other comments? Go ahead, Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would have to agree with that. When you see the pictures of facilities that have been damaged by it, it's a very extensive process to get rid of. And I would support having a letter sent to the Premier through mayors and reeves, or
Yeah,
however you want it done.
that's fine.
I would
Yeah.
make a motion to that effect.
Okay. John, did you have anything?
Well, I was just going to basically echo what the previous two councillors have said, and I think that this is something that we absolutely should get behind and support.
Okay. So Lauren has moved that County Council offer a letter of support under the Reeves signature for implementing boat dip tank technology and invasive species prevention. Anything further? I'll call a question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Lauren. And then item number 3, the 2024 Chinook Arch Impact Report and Financial Statements. So before you have the annual report, summary letter from Chinook Arch's chair, Daryl Christensen, some highlights, and the financials. So that's for your information. And then I had the one addition, item 4. I received this morning. I'll read part of it. So this is from Mayor Jack Van Ryn, the town of Coaldale. Dear County Council, Smile Cookie Week is just around the corner. From April 28th to May 4th, Tim Hortons locations across the country will be selling their iconic Smile cookies. These delicious hand-decorated chocolate chunk cookies raise money for local charities, and this year all proceeds from Coaldale Smile Cookies sales will go directly to support FCSS, Family and Community Support Services, and the vital work they do in our community. To make this week a success, I've proudly accepted a friendly challenge from Mayor Andrew Prokop of the town of Tabor. The town of Coaldale will sell more cookies than Tabor, but to achieve that, I need your help. So I'll go down. So whether you can lend a hand for a couple hours or throughout the week, your support makes a difference. There's this fun, hands-on way to give back to the community and help Team Coaldale rise to the challenge. If you know someone who would like to volunteer with you, please include their name when signing up. We need 2 volunteers per shift. So there's some details on when it is, and Candace did receive this as well. So if this is something that you would be interested in participating in, I just thought we should talk about it today as it is upcoming. So yeah, if you're interested in participating, volunteering during Smile Cookie Week, you can touch base with Candace and we can make those arrangements. And I believe that's all I have for correspondence. Or is there anything arising from the correspondence? If not, we can move down then to our county council and committee updates. Division 1, Councilor Lauren Hickey. Lauren?
Thank you. On March the 6th, Lethbridge County Council meeting, and March the 17th to the 19th, the RMA Spring Convention. March the 19th, also on the way home, participating in the Green Acres Finance Committee meeting. On the 21st, attended the Dillon School of Business dinner. The 26th was the Green Acres and board meeting. The 27th was Ag Service Board meeting. And the 31st was the IDP review for the city of Lethbridge.
Thank you, Lauren. March 3rd, we had a wellness community discussion. There's a citizen ratepayer in the county who's interested in community wellness and potentially attracting some type of a wellness community to the region. So Cole and I have met with him a couple times. Cole and the team have worked out some information, some talking points that go along with that, and continue down that path. The 5th, attended the Alberta Sugar Beet Growers AGM. The 6th, Lethbridge County Council meeting. Also attended the Rotary Club East Scholarship Dinner. Mayors and Reeves. On the 7th, the 13th, the Chinook Arch Personnel and Finance meeting. 18th, Colehurst North of the River Collaboration meeting. Thank you to Mayor Montina for hosting that and her council for hosting that in Colehurst. The 19th, attended the EDL AGM. The 20th, Fire Services discussion. 25th, Fire Services meeting with the town of Coldell. And the 31st, IDP review meeting with the city of Lethbridge. Division 3, Councillor Sayers.
Thank you, Reeve Campbell. It was March 6th, County Council. On March the 14th, I've had a call with the auditor for the Water Commission. On the 17th, prior to the RMA, Kevin and I both attended the EP course on strategic planning, which is really a good course. 17th and 19th was Spring Convention. 20th was a fire services discussion. The 25th, we met for our fire services meeting. 27th, Southern Alberta Economic Development Summit was the third annual one. It was a good event. And the 31st was IDP review meeting with the City of Lethbridge.
Thank you, Mark. Division 4, Deputy Reeve Kurbis.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. On March 4th, I had my weekly meeting with Community Futures Executive Director. March 6th, the Lethbridge County Council meeting. March 10th, we had an IDP meeting with the town of Nobleford, which was very productive and nice to touch base and keep in contact with our municipal partners on that. March 11th, our weekly meeting with the Community Futures Executive Director as well. March 14th, I had a meeting with the CAO in regards to the Waste Commission. March 15th, City of Lethbridge Firefighters Gala I attended, which was a wonderful event. Nice to connect with some of our first responders and show our appreciation for the work that they do in keeping our community safe. March 16th to 19th, I was at the RMA Spring Convention. As part of that, on March 17th, I attended an EOEP, Elected Officials Education Program course. On March 20th, we had a fire services discussion. March 21st, I attended the Dillon School of Business dinner, which was put on by the U of Lethbridge. That was a very good event where they were honoring some of their Indigenous elders and their elder program and the work that they do in helping all of the students, regardless of their cultural background, in succeeding in navigating through the university environment. And I think that the work that they do there is exemplary, and honestly, I think that should be expanded to much farther beyond the University of Lethbridge, because the benefits of it are clearly demonstrable. On March 26th, I attended Community Futures monthly board meeting, and on March 27th, we had an ASB meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. March 6, we had our council meeting. March 10, IDP meeting with the town of Nobleford. March 15, the City of Lethbridge Firefighters Gala, which, like John said, it was a great event. March 17 to 19 was the RMA Spring Convention, where I did a EOPE course. Yeah, there you go. Course. Then there was a fire service discussion on March 20. March 25 was a fire service meeting, which thanks again to Cole and all his team for all the work they did for that. And March 27, the ASB meeting.
Councillor Vanderveen. I think right now we're just waiting for a presentation to come back to the Waste Commission, and we'll have some more information. There's a lot I can share, and I'm happy to, but there's just a little bit of convolution in the messaging and what the requirements are. So I think we'll have more to share once we have that official presentation with what the specific asks are. Is that fair, Councillor Van der Veen? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On March 6th, Lethbridge County Council meeting. March the 13th, I went to the sea cleaning operation in county. March the 17th, 19th, RMA convention. March the 20th, fire services discussion.
Anything else? Thank you very much for your updates. Move down to our closed session, item H. We do have two items today. Our first, bylaw options, code section 25, which is not a public body. Our second item, the CAO report, code section 16, 17, and 3. If there's nothing else in the public portion of our meeting, we would entertain a motion to enter closed session. Sean?
I would move that we enter a closed session at this time.